Welcome to Just an Average Fantasy Football Podcast. Allegedly.
Welcome into Just an Average Fantasy Football Podcast. I am your host, Daniel Hayes, with Matt Baker.
That's me.
You can find us at avgffpod.com. You can go there, click the buttons, go to the places, do the subscribes. You can listen on the website as well. But again, if you listen there, we still would like you to go to whatever platform you would prefer to listen and give us a subscribe or follow, just so we can, push them numbers up. Also, follow us on YouTube. You don't have to watch the videos, man. Just go in there and follow us so we can get them subscribers up. We're trying to get the numbers up.
Exactly.
We gotta pump them numbers up, baby. So if you could go to the places, do the things, help us get this thing off the ground. This plane has been going down the runway for about 5 years now, and it hasn't even got a tire off the ground yet.
No, not even a little.
Look, it's a lot of it's our fault, or my fault, inconsistency. I get it. Content, all that. We're doing our best. Sorry about last week. Fourth snuck up on me. And
the holiday, and I've been so busy too. It's been
hella busy, been hella hot and all that. So it got kind of hectic. So we had to shut her down. But we're here now. We're going to talk about the NFC or AFC West.
Whew, I thought I took all the wrong numbers down. I'm about to say we're going to have to start this in about 10 minutes.
You did, brother. I did as well. We'll just wing it. Let's see. But before we do that, I guess I don't think there's a ton of news out there, to be honest with you. So.
There was one big thing. Oh, what was it? It was son of a sandwich.
Well, we got the trades. I don't know if we've been on since the trades.
Yeah,
with the Dolphins. So hold on, just before we get there, you gotta always have that transition.
Oh yeah.
I was trying to find the right button to hit.
It sounded like all of them. That was perfect.
Nope. There it is. That's what I was looking for. Now that I've blown everybody's eardrums.
Yes.
Anyway, so there was some trading and stuff going on. The Dolphins made deals. They moved. They sent Jonnu Smith to the Steelers.
To Pittsburgh, yeah.
And everybody's like, "Oh snap! It looks like we're going to be looking at one of these younger tight ends for the Dolphins." And the Dolphins are like, "Nah,
no, we want somebody that's not even playing football right now."
Yeah, somebody that's old as balls that hasn't played in a couple seasons and who's put out a terrible rap album
and a couple pretty shitty podcasts too. I've heard here and there, so.
Which completely explains why he's willing to come back to football. He's finding it's kind of rough out there in the streets trying to find another career. But Darren Waller is coming out of retirement at 32. And the Giants still own his rights, so there is a trade. This is sending Waller to Miami. It's interesting if Waller has anything left. I did go pick him up in the dynasties. I could get him, because in dynasty it's always a dice throw.
It's especially on a dice throw he was tight end 1 year or tight end 2.
A super athletic
guy.
Dude's basically a big ass wide receiver.
He came into the league initially as a wide receiver.
He did. He did. Then he ran into some substance abuse issues, and then he kind of broke out and became a top end tight end for a few years. So, if he's got anything left in the tank, it's going to be interesting. In redraft, I'm not really interested in getting him unless I grab him super late as a streaming option.
I'll get him off waivers. He'll be on waivers, I'm sure.
But I did snag him in a couple dynasties just on the off chance. I didn't spend, I saw some people drop $200 in fab on him. I'm like,
You got outbid on a couple in 2 leagues where they went $190.
Yeah, I bid $47 and they were bidding $167.
I was like, I don't get it. Yeah. I didn't even try because I knew in most of the leagues that he would benefit me. The other people would drop way more than I'd be willing to. I just didn't even.
I grabbed him in a rebuild league just because I had a spot, and if he's good, then he's a tradable asset, which I'll be moving him as soon as. It's tough out in the tight end street, especially in Dynasty, and a huge number of the leagues that we play in are some level of tight end premiums. So, some of them are pretty high. We're in a couple leagues where it's literally it's a full point PPR, and then it's another point and a half for tight end premium. So you're getting 2.5 every reception from a tight end.
Yeah, a 10-yard pass is 3.5 points.
Yeah, that's right there. Yeah, and so Zach Ertz balls in that league because he just gets 7-yard catches and falls down. And
just all day.
Yeah, that's almost 3 points every time he catches the ball.
8 catches for 39 yards, and you got 20 points out of him.
Yeah, you're like, hell yes. So if I
shit, I lost to Ertz again this week.
That piss you off.
Yeah,
especially if you get someone like me has Kelsey. Kelsey goes out there 3 for 14 yards, and then Ertz goes 8 for 47 and no touchdowns, and like 2 first downs.
Yeah, no, it's Ertz is the guy.
But so there it is. A little bit of news, a little bit of getting everything fired up. The Hall of Fame game preseason kicks off at the end of this month, so we are getting it's right around the corner.
So close,
yeah, it's creeping up on
us.
So, we're about to be full bore into it all, getting all the redrafts fired up and all the stuff going for the season. So, all right. So from there, let's roll into our breakdown of the AFC West. What's this button? Nope. Oh, that was too weird.
I feel like both of those are accurate. Oh, that too. Like there's a lot of accuracy going on here.
All right, after that smooth transition. All right, we've got the Kansas City Chiefs in this division. Of course, there is a little bit of news. I don't know if you heard about some refs getting busted. Allegedly ties to the Chiefs and helping them win. So, hey, for all you the NFL is rigged folks out there, you got a little bit of substance to it now.
I've been just ignoring all. It seems it comes up all the time. I don't know. I'm not a big.
Well, I mean, there were refs that have been fired. There's no proof that there was collusion to cheat or anything like
specifics,
that.
But it's just
it wouldn't surprise me if there was, but there has been a mix-up, or not a mix-up. There's been some stuff going on with the refs in the NFL right now, and how much of it they're going to let us know and how much they're going to bury, who knows. And to be honest with you, as it is with conspiracy theorists and their beliefs, it doesn't matter. If the NFL came out tomorrow and admitted that there was actual cheating and games that were rigged, they would still be like, "Oh, they're not telling us everything."
Exactly.
It's useless to butt heads with the conspiracy theorists, but there's something going on, and I don't know if this is just to save face, but the NFL is doing something about it. So we'll see. I'm still going to watch football. I'm still going to cheer, and I'm still going to hope and pray that deep down inside me somewhere that the games are still decided on the field, and it's to the best that they can be decided on the field. These guys work their asses off. There's so many people involved. It would just be mind-boggling to me to find this huge conspiracy of completely rigged games and things like that. But there is some nefarious things that have been going on. So whether that gets fixed or not, especially when you start bringing Vegas into the mix and the power that they wield and the money that they have,
the amount of money that's involved in it in general. I mean, it's gone from a real life sports to where you kind of got to know that there's going to be some sort of reality TV aspect to it. That's like not there's cheating, because the people that are playing the games, they're not doing anything that's holding it back.
Hopefully, you do have a couple guys that have been caught. Not caught cheating, but caught gambling.
Yeah.
And you don't know
where that breaks.
It's kind of like what happened with Pete Rose. It's like or even what happened with the White Sox scandal and Shields Joe Jackson and all that. It's like they came down and they found that there was some stuff going on, but they can never come out and definitively say that the players were actually affecting the game in a way to benefit them supposedly when all of Pete Rose's stuff, there was never actually any games that he played in that he bet on, and he never did or managed at the time. So
to me, as long as you're betting on yourself, shit, there's no way that you can cheat. I mean, because then you have to get out there and do your best anyway.
As long as you're bet. Well,
when you bet against yourself.
Well, the thing is too now, and I think this has also changed a lot of it. There's the point spread comes into play where you can still get a win, but it's like instead of win, if the spread's 4 and then they're like, well, we got to keep within 4, or if they bet against the spread, if they bet the over, then they got to go more than that. There's that. But it's I would assume it's a lot harder to control the spread in the NFL than it would be in the NBA. And there's tons of speculation about the NBA as well. But the other side is these prop bets that are on these side bets. How many field goals or the Broncos going to kick this week?
Over and under.
Over under 5 field goals. Well, if they get towards the end of the game and there's zero chance they're going to win, but they drive their ass off to get that last field goal in, why did they do that?
Yeah,
what was the purpose behind that? It did not affect the outcome of the game ultimately, but it damn sure affects the spread and it affects these prop bets on the side. So there are certain little things that people wonder. It's like we're not trying to affect the win-loss, but we are trying to find a way to win a little bit on these side pots type stuff. So I don't know. I'm going to try to put my head back in the sand after this investigation and hope that there's still not this stuff going on, because I want to believe that above all that the games are, like I said, still decided on the field by the guys playing the games. So.
Exactly. Yeah.
But anyway, the two teams that have been accused of cheating the most in the last years both got taken out by the Eagles in their respective Super Bowls. So there's, the Eagles are cheater killers. So.
Yeah, they're like,
or they're the better cheaters. Who knows?
Yeah, because if you listen to some people, the tush push is a cheater. I don't know. It's too much. It's just too much.
But anyway, we're going to talk about the AFC West. We're going to talk about the records. Well, we're going to talk about the teams and fantasy viability and what we like and don't like about the teams. Then we're going to talk about what we think the records are going to be, and then we're going to talk about our smash, pass, and sleeper for each division. So we're going to kick it off with the Kansas City Chiefs. Like I said, with the Chiefs, you got Mahomes, who's, he's the dude, but like as an NFL quarterback, dude's the best. Okay. As a fantasy quarterback, he used to be the best. And in the last couple seasons, he's just been kind of meh. He's been a mid fantasy quarterback. But, I mean, they're still going to Super Bowls. They're still getting wins. Dude's still got ice water in his veins and all that good stuff. But you start questioning, used to be Mahomes was top 3 quarterback you take no matter what. And now it's like, I don't know. He's a streamer almost in single quarterback leagues.
Yeah.
And so, but of course you got him, you got the running back room, which, there's a lot of stuff going on there. And we're going to talk more about that here later, but you got Isaiah Pacheco, who got hurt last season, came back and really didn't do a ton. You got Kareem Hunt, Old Man River out there. He was not very efficient, but he was utilized a ton.
They gave him the ball a lot, yeah.
Yeah, and then they went and got Elijah Mitchell this year, and, of course, he's been injury-prone with the 49ers, but when he's been on the field, he's been electric.
Yep.
And so that's their main quarterback room. So, we kind of feel we think Pacheco's a starter, but we don't know. And even if he's ass, it's not going to take much for him to get pushed out of that position.
Elijah Mitchell to step in and take over.
Yeah. If he starts playing with that explosiveness and that excitement that he did with the 49ers before the injuries, then he could easily take over that whole job. So, or it could just be a 3-headed monster that benefits nobody.
And you don't know what's going to go on. Yeah, exactly. You don't know who's going to get the ball. All you know is Kareem will get it when they get near the red zone. That's the only guarantee you'll just about have. If we were within 5 yards. But even then,
if Pacheco's good, he may take that from Kareem. But in the beginning, yes, you're right.
It's
like, because they feel like they can trust him the most right now.
Yeah, they do. They love, even if it's like 1st and 6, it's like Hunt, and he'll go 1 yard, 1 yard, 1 yard, and then it'll be 4. And
that'll be 4th and 3.
4th and 3, and they'll go, okay, throw it to Hunt on the outside, and he'll get the touchdown. He'll get it almost every time. I don't know. Just like last year, they signed him, and it's like he just got all the red zone work. They had Carson Steele run the ball in the middle of the field, and then all of a sudden they get down there and Kareem Hunt. They just feed him. They
definitely used him a ton. There towards the end of the season when Pacheco was still out.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got the wide receiver room. You got Rashee Rice is coming back. It's still kind of up in the air about his suspension, whether it's going to happen this year or not. Reports are if it does, it'll be 3 games. So he could miss the first 3 games. Or it could get pushed next season.
The next season, yes.
I think his trial is supposed to be happening this month. But there's nothing that's come out definitive on anything right now about it. So right now we're just going to pretend that he's going to be there and then hope that, they get this stuff sorted out. And then you got Xavier Worthy, the explosive rookie, 4.22 fastest guy to ever run the combine. Well, I still think Bo Jackson's fastest, but with the electronic recording, Bo Jackson ran a 4.17, but it wasn't electronically recorded. So.
Yeah.
But and I think that was a pro day anyway, so it might have still been the fastest at a combine. Either way. And then you got Hollywood Brown, who was hurt for a majority of the season, came back, kind of gelled a little bit towards the end of the season, but didn't really have an opportunity. You know, before the season started last year, before Hollywood got hurt, you know, what we were hearing was the rapport that he was developing with Mahomes and how they were working routes together and they were developing this bond and it was going to be amazing. And then Hollywood Brown got hurt. And then, of course, Rashee Rice started out great, had was on a tear, and then he got hurt. And then it was just they went and got D-Hop, and he was kind of meh. Yeah. And then Xavier Worthy kind of picked up towards the end of the season, but it just, you know, we're looking for that explosive wide receiver room. We're looking for what it was like back in those days with Tyreek. And there's an opportunity for it to happen this season. You know, Marquise Hollywood Brown's very fast. Xavier Worthy is very fast. And then, of course, Rashee Rice is very good at possession and catching underneath. And so that wide receiver room is interesting to me. How are you feeling overall about the wide receiver room, and what are your thoughts on it?
I'm as excited as I was coming into last year. I mean, like last year, I was super excited about the addition of Hollywood Brown. We saw Rashee as a rookie, you know, year before, and super excited about him. And I mean, the Juju's Buns. I think D-Hop's still there too. His Buns.
No, D-Hop is with the.
Oh yeah, he went to Ravens.
Yeah,
that's right. So I mean, yeah. So Juju's still there, and who'd you say the rookie? I know his name.
Xavier Worthy.
Worthy. Like I wasn't a big fan of Worthy through most of the year last year because he seemed cocky, if that makes sense. Like he seemed like he knew he was turning before the ball was in his hands. It just almost seemed, but he straightened up towards the end of the year.
I think he realized the NFL is not college, and then he's going to have to
straighten. Like he couldn't seem to catch anything that was there, you know, right. Which is the same thing we said. I think Marquise Brown had the same thing with the Ravens there for a little bit. He couldn't catch anything.
Yeah, Hollywood's always had a problem with them stone hands, but yeah, he did towards the beginning.
Worthy kind of opened up at the end of the year and made me trust him a little bit more, you know, as per fantasy and stuff like that. But I mean, I don't know. It's still kind of a tough receiver room outside of if Rashee comes back healthy and everything's golden, and even if he misses 3 weeks, I'm still drafting him.
Oh yeah,
I feel he's going to be money all the way through. So.
I think Rashee is the dude in that room. I don't think anybody's just going to dispute that. He's, to me, going to be the target hog.
Yeah.
And I think that the other two guys are going to help open that field up for him based off the fact that they're both burners and can really take the top off of a defense. I don't think they're going to be able to run that cover two shell on them the way they want to. So it's going to be interesting how it turns out. Like you said, Juju's just straight toast. You know, he's just a body. So I don't really expect a ton from him.
Yeah.
And then you get, of course, the tight ends. Kelsey's 412, and he's getting pushed out by Noah Gray. So it seems like he did come back and he's raring to go, but you know, he's on the decline. And clearly, based off of what we've seen last couple seasons, he's just. You know, I think you'll get weeks out of Kelsey.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But I don't think you're going to get the tight end one or two that you've got in the past, and I think that them days are long gone. So, I mean, I think Kelsey's probably going to be relegated to a streaming tight end, somebody you play in plus matchups and things like that. But they're going to be. I mean, Gray's going to have weeks. He had weeks last season. You know, and you may see a kind of changing of the guard this season, whereas maybe Kelsey kind of starts taking more plays on the sidelines and Noah kind of takes over that tight end, you know, alpha role a little bit more. So
yeah, I mean, last year was Noah's highest year, but he still only had 49 targets, but he had 40 receptions. So.
Right. And how many touchdowns?
5 touchdowns,
right.
Yeah, which is pretty good. I mean,
I don't think Kelsey had 5 touchdowns last year.
Oh yeah, was that low? I haven't looked at Kelsey. I don't have Kelsey very many places.
Yeah, but if he did, it was based off of if he had 5, it was based off of a lot more targets than what Noah had.
He had 3 touchdowns, but he also had 133 targets.
Exactly.
And 97 receptions for 800. So he had a way more targets, but
he had that many targets last season?
133 targets and 97 receptions. He only had 823 yards
Is the touchdowns.
So
if he'd have had 10 touchdowns and all that, it would have felt like a whole different season.
Well, that's his lowest yard per target average. He was 6.19 yards per target, where he averages 8 or better.
Yeah.
So he only had 8.48.
He had that many fucking. You could have given me
1,000 guesses.
You could have said, give me multiple choice and said, I'll give you $1 million if you get this right. And if you just said Kelsey had 47 targets, Kelsey had 76 targets, or Kelsey had 133 targets, I'd have guessed 76. Yeah. And I'd have missed out on $1 million.
He had more targets last year than he had the year before.
That's crazy to think about, because it did not feel like that last season.
The year before, he only had 2 more touchdowns. He had 5 touchdowns total the year before.
Yeah, but he was kind of bad. I mean, he wasn't bad the year before. He was, what, 5?
Tight end 3.
Oh, really?
The year before, yeah.
See, it didn't feel
121
like that.
targets, 93 receptions.
Because he was, what, tight end 6 last season?
Tight end 6.5 point. Yeah, 6.5 point.
And so, see, it didn't even feel like that, because it's like, I bet if you go look at the game log, it was kind of like those old school Kittle game logs,
where it's
like 2 points and then 14 points.
Well, I will say this. So last year he averaged 8.5 per catch, like yards per catch. Year before he averaged 10.5 per catch.
Yeah. So
I mean, that's 2 extra yards per 93 receptions. So that's 200 extra yards for the season. You know,
right.
That's a big difference.
And I think there's the other thing that kind of coincides with some of his seemingly, not getting as much. I guess he has been getting as much work, but is the fact that Rice and him kind of work in the same area of the field.
Yeah.
So, of course, Rice didn't play the whole season, so that was his stuff upticked after that. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, that's crazy. I would have never thought it was 133 targets.
Honestly, from between the last, let's say 6 years total, just looking at it all, the only true difference is his production.
Yeah.
I mean, outside of
efficiency.
His efficiency. I mean, his yard per target, his yard per catch, what he does with the ball after he gets it, all that's gone down drastically over the last couple of years. But
it's probably because of Taylor Swift, clearly.
It has to be. I mean, that's the only thing. The only difference. Yes, that and the mustache, changed. That porn stash he's got going on. I don't know. That might be his the opposite of his superpower.
Yeah. Well, that's the opposite of Samson.
Yeah.
Samson's hair is like his mustache takes his power away.
It does. It sucks it all away. Is what it does. But yeah.
All right. Well, the next team we're going to talk about, let's see. We just pick one here. The Denver Broncos. Of course, the Denver last year came out of nowhere, kind of. We did not expect them to be good. I'm pretty sure. I don't remember where we picked them to be last year, but we didn't pick them to do what they did.
Yeah, I think it was still close to second to last. I think we had them with 3 or 5 wins or 4 wins. Something. It wasn't very much at all.
They drafted Bo Nix last year. We did. We were cautiously optimistic. Bo Nix was a very accurate quarterback who had been he's an older quarterback who had played in pro systems in college. And so coming out, you were hoping that he could pick up the game. He was kind of regurgitated ass the first couple games, and then something clicked, and him and Sean Payton started to get that offense rolling. And him and Cortland Sutton he figured out how to get touchdowns to Cortland Sutton, because I'm pretty sure Sutton had 10 touchdowns last year.
That sounds pretty legit.
Yeah. There was no real number 2 receiver last year. You had a bunch of guys who were kind of okay and decent. Marvin Mims kind of started coming on towards the end of the season. Not a ton of production, but very explosive. And with the little work he got, he did a lot with it. The running back room last year was a dumpster fire. You never knew who to play. You didn't know if it was McLaughlin or Batty or whoever the hell else you had back there. The other, anyway, yeah. So that tells you everything we need. But there's 14 different. Williams, not Jameson Williams. Not Javante. I know it started with J.
So, he had 8 touchdowns, but
not Javante.
Cortland Sutton. But Javante Williams. And
then you had Tyler Batty. You had Javante Williams. You had Jaleel McLaughlin, and then there's one other that People were estimating.
Estimate.
And so there
it was like a week to week thing. It was like one guy would get all the work one week, and you're like, damn, he did good. He averaged like 4.5 yards, and he got a touchdown. Then the next week, it's a whole new guy.
It's a whole new guy, yeah.
And it's like, who the hell do you go with?
Yeah. And so, but they did go out and draft R.J. Harvey, an older running back. It's kind of. You generally don't like that in fantasy because older guys, running backs have a very small window, and it's usually when they're like 21 to like 23 or 24, and this guy's already 24 coming out of college. Excuse me. And the other reason is you don't like older running backs is because that means they weren't good enough to be drafted when they were 21.
Yeah, while they were still young.
So they had to play longer in college, and that just tells you that maybe they don't have the ability to break out. But either way, Harvey was good last year in college. He did get drafted in the second round. He does kind of fit the mold of what Sean Payton likes in a running back. And we were like, sweet, that's awesome. Even though this dude's old, we all feel like this rookie is going to go out there and take that running back room. And then they went and signed J.K. Dobbins.
They're like, hey, let's get another old running back.
Which he's not old. He's just, his body's old.
Yeah, he's older than R.J. Harvey, yes. But his body's definitely.
Yeah, we have to
you know what? His body's not even really that old. It just keeps healing all the time. It's just always broken.
But we have to add football age to him.
Yeah,
more than what we would add to the normal, just based off the him and Nick Chubb. Like Nick Chubb's like 84 in football years.
Oh,
whereas most people would be like 52 in football years
at this
at
point.
his age.
But I mean, like if we really look at J.K. Dobbins and we add his football year, he's really only played 2 years in the 5 years he's been in the league.
That's true.
I mean, if you look at how many games and like he's actually played, I mean,
it might be 2.5, 2.5 if you add all the games up.
Yeah. So 15 games with Baltimore, and then 8 more with Baltimore 2 years later, and then 1 game with Baltimore the next year, and then 13 last year. So he's played a grand total of 21, 36, 37 games in 5 years in the league.
All right, so 5 times 18 is 4 is 90.
That's like 2 years. So 37 would be 34 if you played 17.
80.
If you played 17 full games, so
that's 80.
Yeah, so he's technically.
What's 5 times 18?
5 times 18 is 90.
Okay, I was right the first time.
Yeah,
I started second guessing myself.
But I mean,
but he's basically got half. How many games total did you say he's playing? 37?
37 total games.
All right, so he's almost half of what he should have been in.
Yeah, exactly. Like right now, he's technically going into his 4th year, and even though he's going into his 6th. But I mean, it's still, and even still then, he's still not like workhorse. Like he hasn't had that many carries. When he played the full season, just about the full season the first year, he only had 134 carries.
Right. Yeah, he's never been he's never been a guy who's been able to handle or has never had to do a full load. But last season with the Chargers, he was very good for a stretch of time, and I think because he was coming off of a major injury, I think he got tired and there towards the end of the season, and his production tapered off. They went from a run first offense to a pass all the time offense towards the end of the season. And I think that some of his explosiveness, but you're looking at 2 years removed from what he went through, and based off of what he was able to do last year, he's also a running back that fits the mold of what Sean Payton wants. He wants a guy who can catch the ball, who's explosive, who can make guys miss. He can do all those things as well, and he probably can do them better than R.J. Harvey right now. Even after everything he's been through, he's kind of an enigma, and very good shot that he comes out of this camp as the starter. Now, whether that stays the whole season and whether that starter means he just gets to start the game, but they finish with the same amount of carries, you know? Yeah. And how many are they going to use? Because there's still McLaughlin's there. Estime's still there as well.
And it could bear down to like pass blocking. If R.J. Harvey's a better pass blocker, he might be out there on more plays and get more opportunity. Yeah. So I mean, it's hard
for a rookie to come into the league and be a better pass blocker. But
just saying,
I don't know how good one J.K. Dobbins is. So.
I did see a report where he was ranked. Was it last? It might have. I don't know if it was his rookie year with the Ravens or if it was last year, but it was one of his more productive years.
Yeah.
But he was ranked like 6th best pass blocking running back in the league.
Oh, wow. So
at
he
that
can
point,
pass block.
He was really good at pass blocking, but he was never utilized as much in the passing game as you would expect one to be in that when he's that good. At that
or if he was out running routes instead of blocking.
Yeah.
So, he's somebody you can get late in drafts, and the reports coming out by the beat writers right now are he is the starter. With RJ Harvey and McLaughlin kind of battling for that backup because they're saying McLaughlin's having a very good camp right now. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all shakes out. But if Sean Payton has done nothing else, he has created competition in the running back room, and I know that he loves that more than anything. So, But and then we move on to the wide receivers, and you got. You got Cortland Sutton, who is the alpha. He's the main dude there.
Correct.
Who was very good last year. He was what we had been expecting him to be since he got to Denver, and they finally got a quarterback that could deliver him the ball on a consistent basis, and he showed what he could do when that happens. Of course, they shipped Judy out of there, and so on the other side of the field, it's still kind of up in the air of who they got. Pat Bryant in the draft, who everybody's kind of hoping does something. And we talked about Mims. I think Mims is more of a gadgety slot receiver type guy, so I don't expect him to be playing on the outside. And then you got Vele. Vele kind of came out of nowhere last season, had some really good games. Then he's, preseason last year, he was kind of being hyped up. Then he was injured, and then he had to come back and work his way back into the rotation. And he did okay. He wasn't lighting up fantasy scoreboards, but he did enough that he earned reps and he caught the eyes of the coaches, and he's somebody that I've heard is also having a very good camp. So, that I think that's still up in the air. What are your feelings with the wide receiver room in Denver?
Yeah, no, I like, of course, love Cortland Sutton there. I mean, like you said, last year was finally the Cortland Sutton we've been wanting to see. Marvin Mims, I don't know, like I'm not as sold as a lot of people. It
wasn't as good when I went back and looked at the stats as I remembered it.
Well, he's so explosive. I think like when he did get the ball, it was a touchdown, or it was a huge play. Like
I think he had 2 games where he had 2 touchdowns. I might be wrong.
Yeah, they were big, giant, exciting. Like it wasn't so, and that kind of it overshadows all the rest of it. And he just wasn't like super, super great in my opinion, but. I do like Vele, but he didn't get as much production and opportunity as I felt like he would have, considering there were very little targets to go around. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't a lot of competition, right? And there's nobody really there that I feel is gonna be like better and overshadow him. I mean, you got Trent Sherfield and Troy Franklin, these older names that are just lingering around.
I would say the only one that I think can really step up maybe is the rookie Pat Bryant, but that's just kind of wishful thinking. Yeah, because if you look at Vele, he had one game where he had 6 passes for 80 yards, but he only had 3 touchdowns on the season.
Yeah,
in a half point, he only broke double-digit fantasy points in 3 weeks, and one of those weeks was week 18. So he never really, was. It was never like, oh my God, you see what Vele did?
This guy needs to be the guy. Like he had the 1 week where I think he
only
got
had 55 targets. Yeah, he had 55 targets, 41 receptions.
And I want to say like 2 of those weeks were like 10 targets each or something like crazy like that. He didn't get utilized as much as we thought was going to be after he had them 2 big games.
Right,
I guess would be where I'm trying to go with it. But.
And so what that does is that I think that leaves the door open for Evan Ingram.
Yeah, that's
Evan Ingram comes in as the quote unquote joker. And all that really means is that he will be, according to what Sean Payton likes to do with his tight ends, he's going to be all over the field. He could run the ball out of the backfield. He's going to play wide out. He's going to be kind of a jack of all trades. He's not going to just be lining up on the line, blocking, playing a traditional tight end position. And he could actually be on the field with a traditional tight end and play more as an offensive player. And so if they use Evan Ingram that way, he's athletic enough to definitely pull it off. And it could be a very interesting and productive season for him, especially, like you said, since there's nobody really besides Cortland Sutton that has affirmed themselves as somebody who's earned targets and earned to be out there. And if if Evan Ingram can do that, then he could technically come out of the season as their second best receiver.
Yes,
with 100+ targets, and he could be in that top 3 tight end discussion, even though he's kind of not playing tight end. You know, he'd be playing more of a kind of a wideout kind of role.
And he's an older guy too. I mean, I think he'll be turning 31. During this year, but I mean, he did well last year, minus before the injury and everything.
Yeah.
But I mean,
and then 2 years ago, of course, he was money. He almost broke the record.
Yeah, he almost broke a lot of
targets.
records. And he did it on minimal touchdowns too.
And he did it with a shit quarterback in Trevor Lawrence.
Exactly.
And so it's going to be. I think Evan Ingram, and we're going to talk more about him in a minute, but I think Evan Ingram is definitely somebody to keep an eye on. So, all right, well, that's the Broncos. So let's go on down here and talk about the Chargers. Last year, I feel like they were better than I thought they were going to be, kind of in the same vein as what Broncos were. I expected the Broncos to blow ass last year. I didn't expect the Chargers to blow ass, but I didn't expect them to compete for the playoffs the way they did. I expect them to be kind of middle of the road, but they were out there swinging, and I commend Harbaugh, and I can't remember their offense coordinator's name, even though he's been in the league 120 years. But anyway, I commend them wanting to be a run-first offense and being able to switch up and adapt with the team they had and deciding to utilize their quarterback and their receivers and become a team that passed a whole lot more than we expected them to. That was one thing that, if anybody remembers, I was completely against any of the receiving options for the Chargers last year, because they just, in the history of the tandem of Harbaugh and his offense coordinator, no quarterback had averaged over 25 passing attempts per game in their entire history together. And I didn't expect it to happen last year, and they proved me wrong. Herbert went out there and was slinging it for 30+ times in some games. So Herbert's the dude. To me, he's this generation's, I don't want to say Phillip Rivers, because I think he's better than Phillip Rivers, but he's this generation's really, really good quarterback that the team never is like really amazing. If that makes sense. Yeah. Like, he goes out there, puts up great stats, looks really good doing it, makes some of the greatest throws you'll ever see, but the team always finishes like 10-7. Yeah. They're not out there lighting up the scoreboard. So like
it'd be like Drew Brees.
Yeah, kinda. I mean, Drew Brees is way better.
Well, but I'm just saying, I just feel like there's so much talent in the head of the snake, and the rest of the snake's just all flopping around doing nothing.
They don't ever really give him that number one guy, and he's not a Tom Brady-ish guy where he can go out there and make, some guy from Home Depot a top receiver in the league. Yeah. And so, you just look at Herbert and you're just like, man, if they got him some really hardcore weapons, there's no telling what he could do. Well, I feel like they're starting to do that. You look at the running back room. They went and got Najee, and this isn't a big, huge Najee house, but the one thing that Najee Harris has is he has availability because he's never hurt.
Yeah.
Dude doesn't miss games. And the other thing that Najee has is grit. I mean, he'll put his nose down, he'll hammer it, he'll play. You can give him the ball 30 times a game. He may only get 74 yards out of 30 carries, but it's going to be 74 hard-earned yards, and he's going to earn every one of them, and then he's going to be there the next week.
The whole time. I mean, This guy's got 250 plus attempts every year he's played. Over 1,000 yards every year he's played. He doesn't get his average.
Sheer will.
His average sucks, but
he's not efficient.
He's got like 4 or less every game.
He hammers
7, 8 touchdowns a year.
He's a grinder.
3,
that's what it is. That's
30. Yeah, don't. Well,
no, not that kind of. No, I mean, like. But look, grinder used to mean all different things before that app came out. I mean, I don't know anything about that app.
I don't either. But I mean, I just like this dude. He's super. He's like you said. He's readily available. This is just he's just a ground and pound running back.
He's there. You turn around when the quarterback turns around to hand the ball off. He's looking at Najee.
He's like, look, we need 2 yards, and Najee's like, I got you.
He's like, I'll get you 1.5.
But if we need 3 yards, Najee's like, can we do 2.5 right now? Like, I'm gonna have to take a step back, but but still 4,000 yard seasons in his career, 4 years in the league. I mean, he's still. I'm not going to say a top back, but he's still a good NFL running back. I mean, he's
good
for NFL, not fantasy necessarily, but for NFL,
right? He's
a good back. I mean, and he's healthy. Yeah, like you said, you can't go wrong with that. I mean,
availability is an ability.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And so then they went and drafted Maureen Hampton, who's very explosive, who also has a 3-down skill set.
Yeah.
He's a big dude. He'll hammer the ball up the middle. He can run to the outside. He has speed. He's also a great pass catcher. So they have two guys. I think Hampton's has more skill and more explosiveness, but they have two guys with the same type of skills to be able to go out there and do it. And so it's going to be interesting to see how that works. Obviously, I think the season's going to start with Najee out there. He's going to be the more trusted back. He's a great, pass blocker. He doesn't fumble the ball, and we just talked about how he's always going to be there. And so, I think they'll start with Najee, but Hampton's going to get his touches. So he's going to add a certain amount of explosiveness to that backfield. So Hampton is definitely a weapon, a true weapon for Herbert. And then you look at the wide receivers. Ladd McConkey last year showed up and showed out as a true, just really good NFL wide receiver. Quentin Johnson kind of stepped up last year. I still don't think he's going to be great. I still think he has kind of stone hands, but there's a lot of receivers who have made decent livings in this league by being 60, 55% catch guys.
Yeah, just a guy.
Yeah. And so we'll see how that goes. They got Trey Harris they drafted in the second round, who a lot of people think could take that job from Quentin Johnson. Or, if Quentin is on one side, Trey Harris is on the other, and they run Ladd out of the slot,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so you have that. And then, of course, they went and got Mike Williams back. Mike Williams, if he's healthy, it can be an asset to a quarterback. Great 50-50 guy. He's kind of like a little bit better version of what Quentin Johnson is. And he's somebody who's going to give you everything he got, which is why he gets hurt all the fucking time.
All the time.
So how are you feeling about those wide receiver rooms? Wide receiver room?
I like it. I'm really excited to see how Trey Harris fits this. Like he's very similar to, like you said, Quentin Johnson, and I don't trust Quentin Johnson. Even when he was getting targets it was just so ugly. Like if you had him in fantasy, you were pissed.
Hated everything pissed. About it.
If you had to put him in the lineup, you weren't happy about. You didn't want to watch the game.
No, God.
You were like, I'll wait till the game's over and I'll see how many points I did or didn't get. I mean,
yes, absolutely.
And I mean, Mike Williams, if he does nothing for this, he is definitely a voice. He's definitely a coach. He's definitely an atmosphere to help these young guys. I mean, Quentin Johnson's only been in the league for 3 years, so he's not even a veteran really yet, so he might be still taught some, you know what I mean? Like kind of coached out or whatever. So I like the Mike Williams. I like say Trey Harris. I'm not a big fan of Quentin Johnson, but that could change.
I mean, Quentin Johnson had 91 targets. Just off the top of your head, how many you think he caught out of 91?
42.
55. He caught 55.
That's
but he did get 8 touchdowns.
I know he had like a week or two. Or did he have a week where he had 2 touchdowns and then another
he had a couple kind of pretty big weeks. He had a 20-point week where he caught 4 balls for 118 and a touchdown. There was a stretch where he was he had 2 13-point weeks back to back. One was he had 10 targets, caught 5. Had 7 targets, caught 5. But the last game of course was week 18. He had 14 targets. He caught 13 of them.
Well, that's because Vlad didn't play that game. I'm just kidding. He might have. I don't know. I was just joking. But yeah, no.
But the crazy thing is he had over 13 yards per target on that too.
Oh wow!
Which means they weren't just dump offs. That's what I was looking at.
Yeah, they were putting it down.
But he also had a game where he had 8 targets and only caught 2 of them.
That makes sense. There's the Quentin Johnson we know.
Yeah, and so we're going to see. It used to be that we would wait 3 years before we would start just completely ruling these guys out. So this will be his third year.
Yeah.
We'll see if he makes a jump again. And if he does,
he'll probably get traded to the Bills.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Or the Bills will go grab him real quick. You know, that's where they got Josh Palmer from.
Palmer's gone. So there's targets. There's a target vacancy.
Yeah.
So we'll see if he can get up to like 100 targets and maybe catch 56 of them.
Yeah, 57 probably 50. I'll give him 57.
And then you got the tight end room. The tight end room's still up in the air. You got Will Dissly that's there. They did draft Rondé Gadsden, who's interesting. He's a very athletic tight end out of Syracuse, but he was a 5th-round pick. So, he's somebody, if you're in a dynasty, he's worth taking a shot on, but in redrafts, I'm not drafting.
They got, he's not Conk Daddy, but they got Tyler Conklin there too.
Yeah.
So
Conk's there. I forgot about that.
I don't know if they signed him or picked him up, but he's getting aged as well. I mean, he'll be 30 this year, so.
Yeah. Oh, and then they got Jalen Reagor.
Who? I heard he can't catch anything.
He can't even catch a cold. So there you go. There's the Chargers, and we'll finish off with the Las Vegas Raiders. Las Vegas Raiders, I think, have made the biggest change. Is why I saved them for last. They went out, got a new head coach in Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll brought in a Chip Kelly as an offensive coordinator. If you remember, Chip Kelly was the head coach of the Eagles and was complete ass. He liked to run that fast offense, kind of whatever. So they're going to run an upbeat offense. I think he tempered it a bit in the NFL because he realized he can't run it like he did in college, but it's still going to be fast paced. They're going to try to get a ton of plays in. The good news is he's not the head coach. He's just the OC, and Pete Carroll is the captain of that ship, and Pete Carroll is a very good coach. And so I think he's more than able to keep Chip Kelly in check with that offense. They went and made a trade to get Geno Smith, who obviously Pete Carroll's very familiar with.
Yes.
He's the one that gave Geno a real shot up in Seattle when he sent Russ out of town. And it looks like he knew why. He knew what he's doing when he got rid of Russ and when he wouldn't let Russ cook the year before. And everybody's like, let Russ cook. And he's like, all right, fine. I'll send him somewhere they can let him cook. And you can see that this guy can't fucking cook.
This guy has no idea how to use a stove or play football.
Yeah. And so you got Geno. And, I like Geno. I don't think Geno's going to win any MVPs. I don't think Geno's even going to win any IQ contests. But I think what Geno has grit. Like we just talked about when we were talking about Najee. Geno has that. Geno has this chip on his shoulder that he wants to prove that he's better than what he's been treated in the NFL. He was drafted by a shit organization, and then he was treated terrible by the Jets, and he finally got a shot again with Seattle. So, I think Geno can finish a fringe QB1, but I like him as a passer. He's got a great arm, and if he hyper targets guys, then it's going to be great. And then of course they went and drafted Ashton Jeanty. Well, I should ask. I haven't asked you this the whole time about the quarterbacks. I just say it and move on. How do you feel about Geno?
I don't know. I have a problem with the Raiders and their quarterback selection just in general over the last 15 years or 20 years.
So,
it's hard to really get on board.
Not a big Derek Carr fan.
I'm not a Carr fan. I'm not I was a Minshew fan at a point, and then it just kind of faded away pretty quickly. I like the whole George
he was
atmosphere. Yeah, when it's just no wonder.
The Jacksonville Minshew year. That 1 year, that was a magical season.
I was saying that, and I was on board. Why would you not let Minshew cook? This guy can do it.
Yeah.
But the NFL knows way more than I do, and that's when I realized I pay attention to a lot of different stuff now than just coming out there and being a good quarterback a game or two at a time. So I've changed. Minshew changed how I view quarterbacks for fantasy and for football. He really has. So. I don't know. It almost feels like there's a curse over the Raiders, even though there's you feel like talent's going here and things are looking up, and it just kind of fades out and falls. It just is. I don't know. I like Geno. I think he has full opportunity to be, that. I
think he's going to be the best QB option that they've had in a very long time.
Very long time.
And I think it's going to be the best offensive setup and coaching setup that they've had in a very long time.
He's got great. He came from a team where he had good targets. He had a good. The O line is the only thing that questions me a little bit with this. They've done a lot of work with their offense. They've even done a lot of work with their defense in this offseason.
I think the defense is kind of a strength, but yeah,
signing some of the big people. I mean, the keeping people around, they need to keep around. But their O-line is still a little bit of a question mark for me, and I don't know how Geno's going to handle that, if that makes sense, because he is older. He doesn't get around. He's not a very mobile quarterback, and I'm just afraid that like it's going to kind of fall back a little. Like he takes a little bit of a step back from what he did last year in production-wise, but still could be really good. Like not necessarily for fantasy though, maybe for his targets, but not for him fantasy, if that makes sense. He finished his 13 last year. And I kind of feel like he's going to fade into what he did the year before and finish around 19 or 20 somewhere.
So the year before he should have been better.
No, 2 years ago. In 2022, he was QB5.
Okay.
But in 2023, he was QB19, and then last year he was QB13.
Gotcha.
So, like I feel like it's going to fall in that like.
Well, we'll talk more about him in just a second.
In that phase, right?
Because I got some counter arguments to you, but we'll move on. The running back room is Ashton Genty. We all know that.
That's
dude.
it. That's the whole running back room.
Yeah, we don't really need to talk about anybody behind him. Madison, I believe, is gone. I think he's in
Madison's gone.
Dolphins now.
Yep.
Zamir White's still there.
He's
hot garbage.
Gone. I think he's going to the practice squad now.
Yeah.
So. Raheem Mostert. They did sign Raheem Mostert.
Yeah, they brought in Mostert. And then the pass catching dude, who actually was
Sincere McCormick, the guy.
No. The guy who actually had Abdullah.
Oh yeah.
Amir Abdullah. Because Matthew in our league ran Amir Abdullah, carried him basically to a championship. I mean, along with other players, but he was running Abdullah in a flex, and that dude was balling for him. But it's Ashton Genty. The running back room is Ashton Genty, and as long as he is what everybody says he's going to be awesome.
Oh yeah.
And then so we don't really need to spend a ton there. But we can talk about the wide receivers. Wide receiver room, you got Mr. Stability, Mr. Average, Mr. He's just going to keep doing what he does. Jacoby Myers, I love him. I've always been a huge Jacoby Myers fan. I like guys who put on their hard hats and their freaking work boots and they show up every day. And that just feels like who Jacoby Myers is. He's never been a highly touted wide receiver, but if you look at his career, he's been pretty fucking solid for a really long time, even back to his Patriots days.
Just consistent. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's somebody like even in fantasy, he's obviously not going to light up your fantasy, but you're not going to win a championship if he's your top wide receiver. But he is definitely somebody you can feel good about. If you throw him in a flex, he's not going to burn you. You feel real good about that he's, he may only get you 11 points, but hey, I'll take it.
Hell yeah.
Especially in a flex play. So I love Jacoby Myers, and I think he has an opportunity if him and Geno, kind of meld together. I think he has an opportunity to have maybe one of his better seasons, especially whether they want to run this offense. The other side is interesting. So, the other side of the ball, they drafted Jack Besh. Sorry. I saw one of the greatest. I heard one of the greatest. I thought it was awesome. Fantasy team names. It's Brittany Besh.
Oh wow!
But
okay, yeah.
I got a team with Genty and Besh. I want a team with Genty and Besh so I can go. It's Genty Besh.
There you go. Yeah.
Anyway, and so, but yeah, Jack Besh. I think we expected him to come out and take the targets, but. And maybe be that second wide receiver, but reports are right now their 4th round draft pick, Dante Thornton Jr. out of Tennessee. This dude's like 6'4",
6'5", 205.
205, and he runs like a 4.4 or a 4.3.
Soup's quick, yeah.
Yeah, this dude is a freaking beast, and he is lighting up the practice out there. And right now he's running with the 1s and Besh is running with the 2s. And so either way, however it pans out, they've got some talent. It looks like they're on the wide receiver. What I think will probably shake out, because Besh is more of a slot type, kind of like what Ladd McConkey is, kind of a all over the field and whatnot. He's not really that kind of what you prototypical outside receiver. I think Besh might find his way into a slot and into a rotation. And really in today's NFL, especially, they're going to want to pass a lot. If you got 3 good receivers, you can, and a quarterback that can get on the ball, you can have a pretty good fantasy run if you can get one of them. And I think there's an opportunity that could happen. And so we'll have to see how that pans out. You also got Trey Parker there. He kind of flashed in a few games. Tucker, I'm sorry. Yeah. Parker's I think he's still with Tampa Bay. But anyway, Trey Tucker. He's also a guy who's very fast, can take the top off of defense. But and so he's there's kind of this thought that Tucker and Thornton might be your outside receivers, and it might be Jacoby Myers taking the slot, and then Besh might have to battle with Myers. If that happens, then Besh is going to be on the bench.
Yeah,
because he's not taking Jacoby's job. And so we'll just have to see.
And plus where they play Bowers. I mean, tight end too. So I mean,
Bowers is technically the number 2.
Yeah, he kind of plays all that.
He might be the number 1 receiver.
That's very true. So there's that whole aspect too. You kind of got a tight end that can kind of fill some of this question mark. So there's so many mouths,
and we might as well just throw him into the pile because there's no other tight ends we're talking about. And so we just talk about the pass catches as a whole.
It's just,
and so Bowers is the dude there. That guy's a maniac. He broke all the records last season. Dude would have, if he'd just been a wide receiver, he'd have been a wide receiver. I think we found out 9.
Yeah, wide receiver 9.
Yeah, and so you got a tight end that can be the wide receiver 9. You're level.
That's
life.
Gold. Yeah, no doubt.
And so, so anything else you want to throw into that?
Yeah, no, that's pretty much where they're at. I mean, it's a hard to grasp team as far as like putting wins together because there's so much question mark in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like to wins, you know what I mean? Like I see the fantasy viability. Jacoby Myers is going to be solid for you. Brock Bowers is going to put points up for you. And then the question mark.
It all hinges on Geno and how the offense are going to run.
We've seen Geno feed 2 wide receivers and have somebody else that can show up a game or two. We watched him, DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett.
Yes,
both putting up wide receiver 1 numbers in the game. Having big games. So I mean, I think
even wide receiver 1s are close to. Both of them have wide receiver 1 seasons.
Seasons, yeah, exactly. So hopefully he can get there and he can push it around enough, and So
I think for me, maybe not on the top end because I don't think any of these guys are as talented as DK or even Tyler Lockett in their prime.
Yeah.
But I think as a whole, this might be the best group of pass catchers that Geno's had.
Oh, option wise, if you look at Genty and Bowers and like as far as like walking in and going, holy shit, look at all these
I feel confident
high end options.
And it could end up being that the pie is so big that nobody really dominates.
Everybody's just everybody's just a fantasy. Just a smooth sailing fantasy goodness.
Except for Bowers. I think Bowers is going to be the dude no matter what.
Well, and the hard part with that, though, is he's in a position fantasy-wise that's so like top or bottom, I guess would be the best way.
That's true.
You're looking at he can be top 5 and be in these 5, and then bottom he's not going to touch it because he's going to be utilized different. So I mean,
and he also plays in that area of the field that's quarterback friendly, and if these other receivers are anything as good as we think they can be, they're going to create more opportunity for him. Because if you look at last year, what he did was with ass quarterback play and for the most part mediocre wide receiver
Aiden O'Connell was not ass.
He
was pretty ass.
He wasn't as good enough to be ass.
He was what you put on an ass to hold the shit that comes out. That's what he was. It was that.
I'm not going down this road. So we'll see how that plans out. So all right, so let's move on from that, and we're going to move into. I can go ahead and get it out of the way. We have the same order.
Yes.
So
similar overall.
Similar records, but we have the same order, so there's no reason to really talk about that, but we can just talk about this. Okay, I'll start at the bottom. I do have the Raiders finish at 8 and 9. I will say this. I think the Raiders could be sneaky. They're one of my sneaky teams. The issue that I have is their division. They've got to play these other 3 guys twice
each, yeah.
And so they would have to, in order to be as sneaky as they want to be, they would have to sweep at least 1 or maybe 2 of their division opponents. But I think that I don't ever count Pete Carroll out, especially when he's early in. Like he's fresh.
Yeah.
Players, coaches generally will run their course and everybody will get tired of them. But usually a player's coach, the happy, hey, we're going to Mr. Motivating guy, they're really good at the beginning.
Yeah.
Until everybody gets tired of their bullshit.
It's like, this is bullshit.
Yeah. Because the problem with the player's coach, a motivational coach, is when the seasons are bad.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to hear your fucking family bullshit when we're 3
it doesn't
and 14,
even matter.
bitch.
Who are you talking to?
Yeah. So anyway, so
I have them 7-10. So it's
so you got them 7. So we're kind of in that same area. And then we both have the Chargers finishing third. I have them at 10-7. I think that they're a fringe team that could vie for the division, or they could just kind of stay where they're in the middle because there's just a lot of talent here.
I have them at 8-9, which is, there's a couple games that I was like, I leaned against them because I just feel like that there's not the completion that, like, one more year what they're doing. If they do what they did last year, which was looking really good, I'll feel better. But I just, for what I know now, I got them at 8-9.
I mean, it's kind of on that flip because the Raiders, where I have the Raiders at, if they swept the Chargers, then that would completely change everything in the division.
I'm looking at them being,
they could actually absolutely do that.
And they're only 3 wins out of taking the division, according to what I figured. And I mean, they're
less
easily,
than that with me.
Yeah, well, I'm saying it could easily happen, on a field goal, and some of those games we've known the Chargers in past years to have a field goal decide the game.
Yeah, oh yeah,
win or loss.
Hell, I just met her.
Exactly.
The Denver Broncos, I have them also at 10-7. I think they're the better team, and overall.
I have them at 10-7 as well.
Yeah, so
I feel like they kind of got a tough schedule this year. I really do. Like, I'm looking at it, like I wanted to come into this going, hey, Denver's going to get 12 games this year. Like, knowing what they did last year. But then I look at the schedule and I'm like, wow, they kind of.
I wanted to pick them to win the division.
Yeah, but it's hard. Like, their schedule was pretty
it's
stout.
hard.
Like,
that, and I have the Chiefs going 11-6. Real quick, I wanted to predict the downfall of the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And it's not because I'm a Chiefs hater. I really ain't. I like Kelsey. Kelsey's one of my all-time favorite players that's ever played in the NFL. I like Mahomes. I think Mahomes might be the greatest quarterback of all time. I love Andy Reid. He is an amazing coach. I hate the ownership group of the Chiefs for various reasons, but outside of that, I really like a lot of players on this team. So I'm not one of those, like, I want to find reasons to shit on them. Yeah, like a lot of people do. I just think that if they got shellacked in the Super Bowl, they got their heads chopped off.
I was so glad that brought a lot of faith back to me for the NFL in general.
Yeah.
Like, looking at paper and looking at the game, there's no reason that it should have been close.
Right.
And the fact that they got beat so bad made me feel better about everything. Like, if that makes sense.
No, I can agree with that. I think it was a very humbling experience for them too, because they were kind of riding a little too high.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting how they bounce back, but I couldn't find, with the talent they still have, with Andy Reid as the coach, I just couldn't, under good conscience, come in here and be like, the Chiefs go 9-8.
Yeah, no.
I think they're still the best of this division. They still have to be dethroned, and I just don't think this is the year that's going to happen.
Yeah, no. I have them 12-5. So I mean, which is one game more than what you have them at, and I don't know. And I'm not a Chiefs fan either. Like, I'm not a hater. I'm not a fan, but there's a lot of games there too that can go either way.
Right.
And I kind of leaned on them because in the past it's kind of like it's leaned their way. I mean, anytime they play Buffalo, it's hard for me to. I want to go Buffalo, but it's like they just can't.
Well, we'll
beat them.
see how they do now. They don't have their their 12th man out there, and the refs winning it for them. We'll see what they're going to do now.
I'm not one of those guys, but there were some questionables in that game. Like, it was kind of like hard not to jump on that bandwagon of the. But I mean, I just let it go, and that's why I was like saying when they made it to the Super Bowl, I was like, I guarantee if there is some real shit going on, then we'll know in the Super Bowl. And the Eagles whipped that ass just like I thought they should. Like, and that's
all the conspiracy theorists too were before the Super Bowl. They're all like, "Well, the Chiefs ought to have already won it. It's already done."
It's the three-peat.
They're going to three-peat. They've already made the logo of the Super Bowl red for the Chiefs, and so people were like, "Okay, if that's the case, then go bet it."
Yeah, exactly.
Go bet the Chiefs.
I'm over here like if you look at paper and look at gameplay and look at the way the teams have played, there's no reason that the Chiefs should win that game.
Yeah.
And they sure as shit didn't.
They didn't.
So
They absolutely got clapped.
It was great. I appreciate it, not because the Chiefs got beat.
I think it brought balance to the universe.
It really did
for a moment.
Yeah, it's just not because the Chiefs got beat. That wasn't the reason. I watched the Chiefs play all season, and realistically, they shouldn't have been there. But
the Eagles
were, and the Eagles
superior.
were so much better,
way better,
so much better. Like collectively, all in all. So,
all right. Well, enough on the Super Bowl recap in July.
Yeah, you know what's going on.
All right, so we're going to run through what we have as our smash, our pass, and our sleepers. Again, a smash is somebody that we really are trying to get in drafts, somebody we really believe in. These things could change, obviously, with injury or suspensions or anything that happens down the road. But as the way the world sits on the day we make them, these are the way we do it. A pass is somebody we're avoiding for various reasons. And then a sleeper is somebody, like it says, we think that is low down on the draft boards. It's going to be good. Again, a pass is, if somebody's ADP changes, then a pass can become a value. Everybody's a value at a certain place. It's like, I don't want to draft this guy up here, but if he falls to here, I'll fucking draft him. And so, and that's, and then we're going to give our reasons for that. So I'll go ahead and kick it off. And since we just got done talking about him a second ago, I'll go ahead and give you my sleeper. Since you don't believe in him, I believe in him. My sleeper in this division is Geno Smith. I think Geno Smith has the potential to come out here and be a top 8 quarterback with the talent that he has around him. The fact that I know that Chip Kelly is going to want to run 60 plus offensive plays a week and want to run at fast pace. It's going to give more opportunity, and as long as Geno can protect the ball and utilize his pass catchers, and that defense can hold up, I think that this could be it could be Geno's best season statistically, and it could really put him on the map and put the Raiders on the map. I don't think, again, they can go 8-9 and still be very explosive on offense. And, in this division, I expect there's going to be some shootouts, and that's what you're going to want. So
yeah, I
think Geno Smith is my sleeper. He's somebody I'm willing to take late in drafts. Some of them, you have to draft him. Probably get him off waivers at the end of the draft. And so you couple him with somebody like a Cam Ward, and then you might have a couple quarterbacks there down the road that you can do something with. So,
I mean, I don't hate him as a sleeper. I mean, he has the potential, like I said, to be a top or a low end quarterback one, but I don't know that I like it. Like I would grab him late.
I think your issue isn't with Geno. I think your issue is just with whatever the Raiders curses.
And that's a big heavy part that's weighing over it. It really is. There's always that one thing that you associate to it, and it's like I don't want to be on the bad end of that. It could break this year. This could be the year it breaks, but I don't want to be the one that when it doesn't break. If that makes sense.
I gotcha.
I guess if we're gonna go sleeper, I'm looking at Marquise Brown. I think a lot of people probably aren't drafting him because he didn't seem to have that great of a year last year with the injury. He went on IR well before they even started the season.
Yeah, he got injured in
preseason.
Yeah.
But the injury wasn't like a like something that lingers. It's something he can come back from. He played 2 weeks. He played 2 weeks. He got over 9 targets each of the 2 games. They want to use this guy. They're paying him. His contract this year is the same as his contract the year before.
Yeah.
And they didn't use him the year before. So I'm hoping that they're like, okay,
they're
look,
definitely going to get some return.
We need something back. And so he's going to get hyper targeted, I feel, early in the season. And I think he could end up being, not going to say they're wide receiver 1, but somebody who puts up wide receiver 1 numbers-esque with that. Because, I mean, if the run game is kind of shifty, they're going to have to throw the ball. And
what we have to hope for, what we need to happen, is we need for the Chiefs defense to take a step back.
Yeah, so they have to be out there.
So they have to score. The problem is they don't have to score 35 points a game.
Yeah, that's
what we need is a Chiefs team that does have to score 35 points.
We need Chris Jones to decide to go on vacation for a year.
Or come play for the Panthers.
Yeah, go play for the Panthers. You heard it here first.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's my sleeper. I'm looking at Marquise Brown. I'm grabbing him late because a lot of people are not even looking at him, and I think in redraft especially, I mean, if you've already got him if you're in Dynasty and all, but in redraft especially, I feel like this guy can easily put up wide receiver 2 numbers. He's being drafted at like wide receiver 6 kind of deal.
Yeah.
So you can get this guy. He could definitely have a big return on where you draft him.
When he says wide receiver 2 and wide receiver 6, he means a wide receiver 2 and a wide receiver 6.
Not like 2 overall and 6 overall.
I just want to make sure, because the only reason I said that is because I was confused for a second, and I want to make sure that anybody who's listening is like, you're saying he's being drafted at the wide receivers? No.
He's going out at like top 48 or 68 or let's see, 48,
72.
I think it was like 59, wide receiver 59.
If only there was a device that could answer every question that we ever wanted.
Who needs that? Man?
So currently his ADP, if we
wide receiver wise, keep going. We keep going.
It's
pretty far down there.
Dang.
I think.
Yeah. There he is.
There it is.
Wide receiver 59 141st overall.
And I personally feel if he plays all season,
he'll be
like,
at least a 36.
That's what I'm saying.
Like in the 30s.
He could be 23, 20. He could be a low or late wide receiver.
But even if he's 33, there's value.
Huge value.
Yeah, there's flex value there.
So I think people are sleeping on him, and
he's somebody you can basically get for nothing.
Yeah, you can get him either last in the draft or off.
He is a great upside pick late in drafts for
definitely.
Sure. All right. Well, my pass, let's go ahead and get it out of the way. Isaiah Pacheco. Last year, big Isaiah Pacheco guy here. I had him everywhere. I went
and got him everywhere. You didn't already have him. So.
Yeah, and I still have him in a lot of places. and when he was doing good, it was great.
The world awesome. Hated him.
Yes. And then he got hurt, and then Kareem Hunt took over, and then he came back, and he was ass. Yep. I hope that he comes back, and I hope that he is good again. But the problem now is like last year at the beginning of the season, he was the dude. There was no question. There was nobody chomping at his hindside trying to take his job. He was the dude. Now there's 2 other people there that they could take his job.
Yeah.
And so
it's hard to really put a lot of faith in.
And even if he is the starter, they're not. Those other 2 guys aren't going to just sit on the bench the whole game.
Yep.
And so he's definitely going to lose touches.
I mean, they're both getting paid.
Yeah.
They're going to play sometime. Even if it's not a lot, it's still going to take away from them.
Yes, absolutely. And so right now, for me, I'm just kind of avoiding that, and we can just go ahead and like transition into yours, because yours also deals with this situation and many more.
The running back and the running back situation in this entire division is abysmal. It's with the exception of the Raiders. Look, so my pass is Kansas City, Denver, and the Los Angeles Chargers. Los Angeles? Yeah, okay. Los Angeles Chargers backfields. Yes. All 3 of them. Yeah. Because, I mean, it's hard for me to spend.
I would say the Chargers are the least avoided of the 3.
Oh, yeah. You could feel confident.
Like if I'm going to pick one of the 3, I'm going to go with the Chargers, but I'm still going to be confused.
You got Pacheco and Kareem Hunt and Elijah Mitchell at Kansas City. You've got J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey, which is a rookie.
Yeah, and McLaughlin apparently.
And McLaughlin, who's starting to shine at Denver.
Yep.
And we know that they're not scared to only run one runner back every other game. So, and then you got the Chargers who went and paid to have a starting running back in somebody who we know is not efficient. Excuse me, not the word.
Definitely not efficient.
I'm not efficient. That's the word. I'm like is consistent and is
consistently
can be
there.
He shows up with his briefcase and his suit and ready to work.
Yes.
And then they also have Omarion Hampton, who can potentially be a guy. So it's like, who do you really trust in any of these that you can go, I want to draft this guy and this is going to be my guy. And I don't see any of it. You can go grab Genty in the Raiders. That's it. Get Genty in this whole thing. It's like,
if you were drafting only out of this division,
man,
I hope you got the 101. And if you got the 101, take Genty.
Yeah, no matter what the situation, I don't care if it's a 4-quarterback league. Go ahead and grab Genty in this league, because there's at least 4 other quarterbacks in this league.
If it's a 4-quarterback league, I might advise against that, to be honest with you.
I don't know. I just like there's so many question marks coming out of the backfields for all 3 of these teams with Kansas City and Denver.
Questions coming out of your mom's backfield.
I mean, I came out. No, I'm. But I don't with any kind of like confidence and like just go. I feel like I would rather pass and kind of grab other options where these guys are being drafted and feel a little more confident and comfortable.
No, I
agree. Plays out. So
I mean, obviously we're early. There's going to be more information that comes out, and a lot of that's going to change. But as it sits right now, it's very confusing.
It's so tough. Yeah.
It's like with all the other options out there. I mean, I get what you're saying, and I agree with what you're saying, but there is value here, especially if you can get Dobbins late.
Oh, yeah.
Just because you can get a starter late. But, again, you could go and take that starter late, and then he doesn't play, or he only plays 20% of a game every week.
And the thing about Dobbins too, I mean, you can get him with good value, and then week 2 he's injured again, or know, like I don't want to wish that on anybody.
No.
It's the same thing with Pacheco. I mean, he came back from the injury and didn't look great, but I mean, he could easily get re-injured again. Like it's as angry as that guy runs. I'm surprised he didn't get injured before then.
The happiest person or entity when he got injured was the earth.
Oh, and all the turf.
The turf,
whether it was
and
real turf or if it was fake turf,
and the shoes that he wears.
Exactly. Oh no, his shoes are pissed all the time. I feel like once his shoes get put on, if they were animate objects, they would yell at him.
Be super mad.
Oh, they would be so
Imagine
mad.
when he gets a new pair and the old pair is sitting there against the wall. And like, you're gonna be like, I'm so glad.
Yeah, they're quiet.
The new pair is like, what are you talking about? It's great. We're gonna get used. It's like, you have no idea, dude.
Yep.
You're about to get stomped.
It's done.
Yes, you're gonna
done. He's like on the way to the bathroom. So I mean, that dude,
I feel like when he runs, you know how when people in the cartoons when carpet bunches up
behind him.
I feel like that should happen to him, except that the turf that just pulled back.
Just pulls back and bunches up behind him. I definitely see
runs
that.
like the earth owes him money.
Oh yeah, no doubt at all.
Yeah. All right. We'll finish it off with the smash.
Smash.
My smash is Rashee Rice. I don't know, man. I just feel real good about it. I know there's a lot of options there. I know there's a lot going on in Kansas City, but I truly believe Rashee Rice is a borderline elite wide receiver. I think that he is somebody who gets open, who presents a very big target, who has really good hands. And I think that he is going to be just dynamite. And with him in this offense, it's going to elevate everyone around him. But I think with the other options that are in this offense, they're going to open up this field for him in ways that hasn't happened yet. He has yet to be able to play with Hollywood Brown, with Xavier Worthy as a seasoned player. When he played with Xavier Worthy last season, he was still a rookie trying to figure shit out. You got a guy now who had to step up last year in Xavier Worthy, and who had to do things, who had to like grow up really fast. And then of course Hollywood came back at the end of the season. But now if you can get these guys on the field together, the defense has got to respect that speed. It's got to respect those other receivers, and they're going to. And then for whatever we talked about, Kelsey, dude can still get open. He can still do what he's got to do. So you can't just focus everything on one person. And Rashee Rice is somebody who could beat double coverage. If you lock him in single coverage all game, he's going to eat your fucking lunch.
I'm telling you.
And so I'm trying to get him. He's somebody that I want on my team this year in redrafts, and I think it's going to be. I think he has the potential to be a top 5 receiver at the end of the year, in my personal opinion.
So if he'd have continued on the route he started with last year, with weeks 1 through 3, he got injured in week 4 early. Yeah. So let's say he played just the way he played where do you think he would have finished?
Well, I know he was a top 3 wide receiver when he went out. So he would have finished in the top 3. He might have been 1.
He would have finished 3.
Yeah.
He would have been 1 or 3 points behind Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
At that point, going out that early in the season now, he could have continued and been way higher than that at that rate because,
right.
I mean, he had 2 touchdowns. He had averaged out of 3 games, he had 2 touchdowns. But that guy's so dynamic and so consistent. Like his hands he catches everything. Like it's so crazy to me. Like I'm a big Rashee fan. I had him a million places his rookie year,
right? Just
because he's the first Kansas City receiver that I was like, I gotta go get this guy, and I don't know why. I don't really have any real true reason, but I did. And I'm so thankful. I'm hoping he comes back from it. So
me too. And you know, we still have the suspension looming over it. So I do worry about that. And if they come out tomorrow and they're like, he's going to miss 8 games, then that completely changes everything.
He'll still probably be a wide receiver too. So, but wait and get him later.
Yeah, exactly.
So it counts. Yeah.
And so, you know, I'm really big on what I think he can do. And I'm not one who thinks these other receivers are going to take away. I'm one who thinks these other receivers are going to enhance, because what he was able to do in those 3 games last year, he did that without the protection of these other guys, with the defense. And so with the protection of them, it's only going to get better. And if this offense grows and expands, then the targets are going to be there, and the efficiency is going to be there as well.
Yes, true.
So who's your smash?
My smash is Evan Ingram. I mean,
love it.
To me, there's not a better landing spot for a pass catching tight end who is just out there itching.
A veteran one too.
Out there itching to do a great job. He's going to be open. He's good at passing, he's good at pass blocking. He's good at blocking in general. He's good at getting open, running routes, everything. This dude's like, and we know if you go back and listen to our past podcasts and everything, you'll learn that I knew he's a second half receiver.
Yeah.
This guy
that still pisses me off. That still pisses me off, bro, because I know for a fact you had no statistical reason in your mind.
It's just like, look,
you just had feeling.
It's just my mind. It pays attention to shit that nobody else does.
Listen,
I don't know.
You were right. You were right.
It's weird.
But it wasn't like you researched it. You just
I've seen enough of his games to know. but this guy's
back when he was with the Giants. That's how far back this fucking joke goes.
No, that's way back then. But this is a guy that he's a big target. It's a perfect fit in my opinion.
Hugely athletic.
It just I'm almost drafting him over a lot of other tight ends because of the potential. Like,
oh yeah,
there's like we talked earlier, not lacking of targets, but I mean Cortland Sutton, and then you got not Trey Harris. He's with who's the rookie they drafted?
Pat Bryant.
Pat Bryant. You know, there's other options, but there's nobody that's going to like.
Yeah, there's no second guy who's going to demand targets.
And Ingram can come in here and
he can demand them. He has demanded targets.
Yeah, I mean, this guy can come in here and own this. So.
And they went out. The thing that makes me even more on board is they went out, got him specifically for a reason.
Oh yeah, no.
It wasn't as though he like begged them to take him and like, all right, fine. Well, no, they're like, we want this guy. This dude fits exactly what we're trying to do at the tight end position with this quote unquote joker position. So we're going to go out and get him, and now they got to own up to it. They got to put their money where their mouth is and show us what you mean. Show us this joker, show us how this is going to work. And I think Bo Nix is a very accurate quarterback, and he's a very smart quarterback. And the way that they're going to utilize Ingram in that intermediary, it's going to be explosive. He's somebody who can get the ball at 5 yards and turn it into 35.
Yeah.
And easily.
And they haven't gone and fucked it up for us by putting somebody else behind him that might, they did with the running back. Yeah, they were like, we drafted RJ Harvey.
And then they go and trade for Johnny Smith.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, they haven't gone, we got RJ Harvey. He's going to be our guy.
First of all, we still have time that they can fuck it up.
I know. But I mean, we looked at him last year, and it was this like scatterbrained up an organization where who's going to be the tight end this week? Who's going to be the running back this week? And there was a little consistency. One was like, okay, RJ Harvey got drafted. Then they went and got J.K. Dobbins. So it's like, what are they going to do? But Ingram's there. That's just it's.
Well, they paid him to be that dude, and they went out with a to get him. And I think it's going to be.
It's going to be
magic.
money. It's definitely going to be money. I'm excited, low key, in a couple leagues.
Yeah,
I'm reaching for him. I'm grabbing him a little early in some leagues. And not like for a tight end position. I just say for that position.
Right. Well, that goes on to one of our rules about playing fantasy. Get your guys.
Definitely get your guys.
It's so much more fun to win playing fantasy with your guys than to lose with other people's guys.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I'd rather lose with my guys.
That's me too.
Because then I can be like, maybe I need to get different guys.
I'll go down with my shit, and I'll be the first one to tell you.
It helps me reevaluate.
I fucked up. Like I was saying earlier about Minshew. You know, it's like sometimes it takes just getting your ass beat.
Yes.
By your guys. To know that I need to reevaluate how I look at
this team based off of my own ideas, and it's trash.
Yeah,
but if you build a team based off your own ideas and it's amazing, oh man, you feel like you're like, hey, I should start my own podcast.
You know what? I'm gonna guest star on a podcast occasionally every time we do one. So, I'm big on Ingram. So I love that as a smash. Yes,
and I think as a barn health, I think he's going to be great. And that health is twofold. Nick's has got to stay healthy too.
Oh yeah, exactly.
You know, but as long as that offense runs with the people they want it in for the most part, for the most of the season, I think he's going to be very good.
Yep.
Well, there it is. There's the AFC West in the books. And so, you know, we're going to try to knock the rest of these divisions out in the next few weeks as we move forward. We're going to knock hopefully another mock draft somewhere along the lines and see how it goes. But until then, if anything we say or do helps you get to that average place in your leagues, just know that if you finish average,
you don't finish last.
That's right. And that means we did our job. Hope you guys have a good one out there. And we'll talk to you the next time we show up on your subscribed podcast list.
Exactly.
Later. Oh, hold on.
Welcome to Just an Average.
Why do I do that?
Holla.